Hey, and welcome to part 2 of Photoshop layers. So now what we need to do, now that we have the base drawing, is we need to start drawing in the things that are going to make this character unique or different, one more different character. So the first thing we need to do is find a character to draw, and on top of this guy, and the one that I picked is DEUX the Daring. So what I'm going to do is classic video game characters on top of that character. So the first thing I need to do is find some reference. So DEUX the Daring from Dragon's Lair. Man, I loved this game when I was a kid. So I'm going to copy some images out of Google, the Google Nader. And just ones I don't need. They don't need to be anything too specific. I just want to get a sense of what the costume looks like. So I'll just copy these images, paste them over top here. I think that's it, really. Like, there's not much more to them, right? Pretty much just that. What I really want to get is sort of like the, I want to get the colors, and I want to get the main features. So these ones look to me like they have enough. So now I have these three layers here, which are the different images that I copied. And what I'm going to do is take all three of these. I'm going to group them. I'm going to call that group DEUX reference. There. Now the next thing I'm going to do is move these around. So I don't want them over top of my drawing, so I can move them up here. But the other thing I can do, I can go into canvas size here. Now I make a 8.5 by 8.5 size canvas for most of the drawings that I do, because most of the drawings I do end up on Instagram and square formats, right? But when I want to have a bunch of reference, or I want to have a bunch of extra material while I'm working, I will increase the canvas size. So I go into canvas size, and you see this here. This sort of tells Photoshop, like, in what direction do you want to expand the canvas. So I want it to go, I want more space on the left. So I click the dot here, and I go to width, and I go percentage, and I make that 200%. Boom. So now the canvas is 200% wider, or 200% of what it was, more accurately. So then I'll take these images and I'll put them over here. Now they're really small, right? So what I'm going to do is select the whole group. Now in layers, what you can do when you have a group is, rather than having to go in and shift select all the different layers in the group, the advantage of the group is you just click on the group and everything inside that group is selected. So I can take all that and I can scale it all up. So now they're big enough for me to see with my old crappy eyes. And then I can hide the, so what I'm going to do now is actually make a new layer. And this layer here, I'm going to put underneath the base drawing. So I'm going to put it down here, and you'll see why in a sec. It's because it's going to be color. It's going to be skin tone, skin color. So what I do is I'm just going to take the eyedropper, which is the Alt key for me in Photoshop, and I'm going to click on the skin of DEUX here, there. So I'm on that layer now, the skin layer. I'm going to hide the layer menu, and I am just going to fill it in thusly. Okay, so this is the kind of coloring job that gets you kicked out of kindergarten. You know, I didn't stain the lines, nothing like that. It's pretty messy, but I don't really care because I like to just block it all in really quick. And then I'll go in later and I'll erase. So now that I have the color of the skin tone in, I'm going to use my eraser tool and just get rid of all this. Okay, so colored and sort of cleaned up. Now the next thing I do, now I'm going to bring back the palettes, or the layers. And now on top of all this, I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to call it DEUX Sketch. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base group that I've got here and I'm going to reduce the opacity on it. And about there. Okay, like 25%. And I'm actually, because the skin is at 100%, and I don't really want that, I'm going to take the skin and I'm going to put it inside the base layer so that gets knocked back automatically to 25%. It takes on any of the qualities of the group that it's in. So now that one is 25%. So then up here on the sketches, what I'm going to do is just start drawing some DEUX stuff on top of this guy. And the other thing that really stands out right now is he's using up all the space, so if I make DEUX hat over top, it's going to be hard. So I'm going to take the whole group, I'm going to move it down a bit. It should give me enough room. And if not, I'll deal with it. I will expand the canvas size again if I need to. So now I'm just going to draw some DEUX stuff. I do need to expand the canvas. Make the canvas background white. And I'm going to make that 17 as well. There, that gives me enough room. Okay, so back to drawing. Okay, so that's the rough sketch of it, and that's kind of what I want to do. So the next thing to do is to, again, in my layers, just take this. Oh, I did too. Take this, and I'm going to make that 30% opaque. Just so I can draw over top of it again. So again, another new layer, and this is my cleanup layer. This is just how I work. I like to just rough things out first, and then I'll come back to it afterwards. So now what I'm going to do is just try and do a clean version of this. Okay, so there's my outline. And you can see I've got some issues because I have some overlap. So let's go back into our layers, and we're going to do a bit of layer management. We're going to get rid of the sketch one now. We don't need that. So we'll just delete that layer. So there's my outline. Looks pretty good. So yeah, now I need to do a little bit of layer management just to clean this up. So I need to turn off the things that I don't need. So I don't need the base eyebrows. Those can go away. I don't need the right arm because I redrew the right arm, remember? So that can go away. And the legs I'll keep, and the left arm I keep, and the rest of the base I keep. So I can take this whole thing and I can turn it back up to 100%. So there he is. You can see the skin is also, it doesn't line up as well. So what I'm going to do on this skin, what I'm going to do with this base actually is I'm going to make a copy of the base. I'm going to call it DEUX base. So in this one, I can do whatever I want and just keep it permanent. So in this one, I'm going to do is change some of the skin tone stuff. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of the skin tone in all the areas I don't need it. Don't need those ears. Don't need all that. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog snoring, but if you can't, you're missing out. Because she can snore like nobody's beeswax. I'm very impressed. So I got rid of the skin tones I don't need. Oh wait, not all of it. Look at all that. We don't need that. What's that there for? You can see that my eraser has a bit of texture to it, and that's because I actually like, when I'm erasing the lines, sometimes I like the erased parts to not be clean and look like the pencil lines that I drew. Does that make any sense? Probably not. Didn't make any sense to me either. So again, this is working off of, you know, like a copy of the base. So I can go in here now, and I don't have to worry about screwing myself up for other drawings. So I'm going to go in and just erase. Whoop. Oh, here's something else you guys will find fascinating. When I started using Photoshop a long time ago, there were no layers. At all. No layers. Yeah, so no layers. How did I do it, you ask? I don't know. It was really hard, guys. So hard. I actually can't even remember how I did it because it was ridiculous. Every layer, or what you would consider a layer, was basically a new file. Okay, so there's my base DEUX. And the rest of it is pretty easy. All I do is I grab colors, I make new layers for each color. That's something I do. And I'm going to color them in. So I take my eyedropper tool and I click on the reference. So I grab all my colors from the reference. And I'll make a new layer. Sword. I like it when I'm doing these types of, I guess it's fan art, that all the colors be really accurate. I don't actually do fan art all that much. I'm not a huge fan of fan art. It's true. I don't know why. I just am not. I don't begrudge anybody who does it. But this is actually really fun. So there's his sword. This one, I don't know, we'll just call it clothes. Okay, we're almost done, and now just, what are we gonna do? His helmet and his cowl. So we'll make cowl. Poink. And there he is. Now what I usually like to do is a highlight. Call this one highlights. And what I do on that, and this is just for me, because I like doing this. It's taking some white, and just painting in a few highlights. There it is. That's number one. So you can see that I've got I'm going to call this group, I'm going to group all the stuff I did for this character and call it DEUX. So you can see there's the DEUX version of the character, and there's the base character. Oh, where's his arm? There. So there's the base, all neatly tucked into two groups. And there you go. Hope you liked it, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow.